Wichita used to tell me when she was growing up, the first time she attempted cooking was when her and her friend Ruta ran off into the woods and they started a fire. They had brought a little pot with them from home and they had put in some berries that they found and they cooked it over this little fire. She doesn't remember how it turned out, but that's one of her first memories of cooking. Then she tells a story about how she baked her first cake. Again, her friend Ruta was there, and they had gotten into the kitchen. The kitchen was a hotel kitchen because Machita's father owned a hotel, and they had staff that worked there. So for whatever reason, they got access to the kitchen, and they baked a cake. Machita said she was probably about 10 years old. And she recalls they took the cake out of the oven, and suddenly she dropped, and it rolled out the door. So she always laughs about that when she tells the story. The most famous cake that she made was called a Napoleona, and it's a multi-layered cake that has a flaky pastry, and this tort takes several days to complete because you have to get all the parts just right. The first day, you start by making the dough. And you have to have the flour and the butter, and some sour cream. And then you let the dough rest in the fridge. The next day, you take the dough out and let it warm up a little bit for about 15 minutes. You roll out very thin, paper-thin layers. Bake it at a high temperature and watch it carefully so it doesn't burn. After you've baked 8 or 10 layers, then the next day, you come back and you make the cream, a pound of butter, 4 egg yolks, and other yummy things. And that's all whipped together to beautiful buttercream that's spread onto each layer of the tort. However, between every alternate layer, there's a homemade apricot jam that goes on. The Napoleonas then takes about 3 days because the third day the cream is spread all over the Napoleonas and the crumbs are crumbled on, extra crumbs, and pressed into this buttercream. It has to rest overnight because you couldn't eat it the same day because the flavors hadn't melded together. And this cake was always baked for weddings, for wedding showers, and also at funerals. So it was a cake that's held in high esteem, and the cook who could make the best one, the baker who could make the best one, was often asked to bake for others. Now, the first Napoleons I ever made for my goddaughter's wedding shower, and I was so nervous to make it that I called Machita every step of the way to help me, and I had to bring her a piece to taste. So I held my breath as she tasted it. And she looked at me and she said, I couldn't tell if I had baked it myself. It's so close to mine. That made me so happy that I was able to get that close to replicating her recipe. So now I offer to make, or I willingly make when I'm asked, Napoleonis for only the people who are very close and dear to me, because it honestly has to be a labor of love, or it won't taste the way it's supposed to. And all these recipes she found and learned how to make all by herself, because growing up she never had the opportunity to bake with her mom, who wasn't interested, and of course they had staff who did the baking at the hotel. She didn't have a chance to get into the kitchen. But she had a shoebox in the closet in the bedroom, and whenever there was a special occasion coming up, she would go to the shoebox and pull out all her bits and pieces of recipes, and she would decide which recipe she would make. And it wasn't just cakes and torts. She would also make main dishes like chicken and beef and absolutely amazing recipes that were so complex that you would think you'd need training to do it, but she would attempt them. She was never intimidated. She would go to bed at night dreaming about the recipe that she would make the next day. She couldn't wait to get up and go purchase the ingredients for whatever it was that she was going to make. She said she'd have trouble sleeping sometimes because she was so excited. Considering she didn't come from a background of baking, her whole life of creativity has been centered around baking.